Take a few minutes to gather here, and we'll begin at 8 o'clock. Getting right up at 8. Good morning. I'm so glad you've logged on. Good morning, Mary. Bless you on this soggy morning. We have some others who've logged on. I hope you'll let us know in the comments and wish the gathering good morning as well as blessings as I offer you. Good morning, Lynn. I hope that things are going well. Blessings on you today. I'm so glad you're here. Yeah, we'll begin in just a few minutes. It is an awesome morning to have something hot to drink. Mary, you may be out helping kids cross the road during your doing your cross guard duty. It's so precious. I hope our kids are all doing well during these days. Lynn, I hope that all is going well with you during this time of transition. We'll begin here in just 2 or 3 minutes. Give some other folks time to log on, time to find us. Good morning. I see others have joined us. Bless you for being here this morning. We'll begin in just 2 or 3 minutes. Thanks for keeping our kids safe at the street crossings, Mary. Oh, good morning, Emily. Bless you for being here. I hope that you are recovering and feeling better and better as the day goes on, as the week goes on as well. Yeah, good morning, Pam. Bless you. I'm so glad you're here. Oh, yes. Thank goodness for God's grace. Good morning, Jen. Bless you for being here. Are you out for your walk, for a little bit of a soggy walk, maybe? Yeah, I hope to get in. Oh, I'm so glad, Emily. I'm so glad. That's great. Emily's been dealing with an illness. Um, so we'll get going here in just a couple of minutes and we'll give folks uh, give them a couple more minutes to log on and find us. Yeah, yeah. I've really been enjoying the rain. To be quite honest, it's been driving my husband a bit crazy because he has a landscaping business and he likes to be able to follow his schedule. But yeah, yeah. So we'll begin in just another minute. So maybe as we're preparing to begin, to just I invite you to go ahead and sit in a manner that is comfortable but supported, going for that strong supported back and that soft front. Our the backs of our bodies carrying us through our day and through the world. And then our front, where our heart is, meeting the world. Actually, I've been thinking about that. I'm going to share some of that with you today. So um, we'll begin here in just another minute. So I see another is logged on. Bless you for being here this morning. I hope this day finds you well. Oh, I it's Thank you, Lynn. It's really a blessing for me to be in this space with you all. I was inspired by a clergywoman colleague of mine who holds space for people like this on Mondays, and I enjoy it so much. I find a lot of meaning in it. Um, so it's 8 o'clock. We'll go ahead and begin. So I invite you to sit straight and supported, and so you can breathe evenly as well as you can out of both of your lungs with wherever you are this morning. And so let's begin with our breath, breathing in and out, remembering that God's Spirit is as close as our breathing in and out. Knowing that there's nothing we have to do to make ourselves breathe, and there's nothing that we have to do to for God's Spirit to join us. It is as close as our own breathing. And it's a gift that comes to us that we don't even have to think about. Good morning, Tyree. Bless you for being here. Good morning, Brandy. Bless you for being here. So glad you're here. I've been mulling over this week what we talked about last week about humus. Um, as Jenny so beautifully calls it, soil, not just dirt. Dirt is one of the things that goes into making soil. I hope I'm right on that, Jenny. And that humus is this, it's this lowly substance on the ground, which is, if it's healthy, it's teeming with life, but it's also the substance from which God creates us and from which we come. It's the substance from which we rise and stand into living our lives, and it's related to the word humility, meaning lowly or of the ground. And in my reading over the past week, I think I mentioned last week Joan Chittister, who is a Benedictine, and she relates the word humility with the word peace. And I wish all of you God's peace this morning. And she links it in this way, that humility gives rise to peace because peace is the attitude of the disarmed heart. And I was thinking about that for a little bit. The disarmed heart. Now, I don't know about you, but I find it challenging to even consider going through the world with a disarmed heart, because our hearts can hurt for any number of reasons. Not that people intentionally try to hurt us and it makes our heart hurt, but how our hearts can ache for what's going on in the world, how our hearts can ache for people who suffer, whether they are people who are people we know, who are right here in our communities, or people who are across the globe. I think of people in California who are dealing with the wildfires, and it makes my heart hurt. And I don't like to live with that kind of pain, that kind of heart pain. But as Joan Chittister reminds us, the attitude The stance of peace in the world is the one of the disarmed heart. And she tells a story in her book. Um, it's actually a book called Wisdom Distilled from the Daily, uh, about living the Benedictine rule in everyday life and how it applies to everyday life. And so she tells a lot of stories in this book that come from the early days, early years of the church, going back to the 4th and 5th centuries when um, actually the church was already 400 years old or so, but in which the monastic communities began to arise. And there are a lot of stories that come out of this tradition. And I, to be quite honest, I don't have great familiarity with these stories, but she uses a lot of them. And so I want to share one here um, about the disarmed heart. And of course, this takes place many, many centuries ago. And she says that an army had invaded a village, and that the practice of this army as they invaded various villages was to be particularly violent with the monastics. And so when these invaders arrived to one of the villages, the leader of the village reported to the commander that all of the monastics, hearing of your approach, fled to the mountains. And the commander smiled a broad, cold smile, for he was proud of having a reputation for being a very fearsome person. And then the leader looked at the commander and he said, all that is but one have fled. And so the commander becomes enraged, and he marches to the monastery and he kicks in the gate. And there in the courtyard stands the one remaining monastic. And the commander lowers his gaze and fiercely looks at the remaining monastic, this solitary figure who's standing there. And he says, do you know who I am? I am he who can run you through with a sword without batting an eyelash. And the monastic looks the commander straight in the eye. He returns his gaze and he says, and do you not know who I am? I am one who can let you run me through with a sword without batting an eyelash. Wow. That's a startling example, an illustration of the disarmed heart. Um, and it brings rise to me all kinds of, where does he get the courage from this? Um, and then Joan Chittister goes on to say that this is the sign of what a disarmed heart looks at. One of the things that I keep all kinds of objects here and where I have my little makeshift office, but I have this little piece of, it's called Schneerenschnitte, and I want to show it to you. Get it, try to get it where there's not a glare. Do y'all see this? And it says peace, and it has all kinds of animals. A church member at a congregation that I served some years ago, this was her art expression. It's called Schneerenschnitte, as I said, her scissor art. It's got all the little animals, kind of like the Peaceable Kingdom, but also these little blades of grass and kind of the shapes that she has on her letters almost kind of look like barbs or rough places. And it's like, what comes to mind to me is like the story we just heard, is that even in the midst of peace, there are the thorns, there are the the barbs, there are the difficulties that we have to deal with. And it seems to me that peace arises from that groundedness, the humus on which we stand, from which we are made, and it rises up in us through the breath. So as we come to a close this morning, let's practice that. So I hope you have your feet on the ground, and let us breathe. And as you breathe, let it rise up through you into your belly and into your lungs and your heart and out your nostrils, taking in and remembering who you are, whose you are, from whom we all came, to whom we will return. People of the disarmed heart, breathing peace into the world. My friends, peace be with you this day. And for those of you who join us at some other point today, as your schedule allows, I wish you peace and blessings and well. Take care. Until next time.